Guys, this is week 9. This is my take on what I got from the reading about The Plantation Boy, or just in basic, Milton Murayama by Joan Chang. A lot of what I got from the paper kind of solidify what the book's already talking about, that I understand, with their responsibility to their parents and making sure that their debts are paid. Since I didn't really read any of the other books, in the series, I didn't know, about a lot of the differences for each family member. Like, I know the mom was in one of the books. Let's see, I believe it was the 5 Years on a Rock. That's the one that dealt with the mom, Sawa, and how she moved to Hawaii and married here instead of marrying the man that she loved in Japan, because she was trying to help her parents in that same type of way. So it's actually a really deep, with the Japanese culture and how they do things, and their responsibilities to their parents and their family. It's really strong. And in the book, I mean, even though Toshio and his brothers seem to not want to help, they end up helping because it's part of their responsibility to do it. So I guess that's a lot of what she talks about. I mean, the brunt of it anyway is going over, how in each book they discuss what they're doing, their responsibilities. Like Toshio, even though he's married to his wife now, and they're not really happy with that, he still works and helps them and gives them the money. And then when his brother sent the money to him, that $6,000 he won, even though he was away, he still felt that responsibility to his parents to help them pay their debt, and sent it back, and then had Toshio go ahead and, write all the checks and pay the bills. I mean, in reality, if he sent it to Toshio, he could have, used it on his own and did whatever he wanted, even though he was so angry at them for making the decisions they did. And telling them that they're not gonna help them anymore, he still did it, because to them, I believe, their culture is really based on honor and respect, and it really shows through in this book, and I'm pretty sure in the other books in the series. Another thing that I thought really stood out in this paper that she wrote is going over how they speak. Because the whole book is written in Pidgin, and I know at first he had a hard time actually getting the book published because they didn't see it was grammatically correct. But it's funny how he talks about, the different languages they have, where they have, Pidgin at home and good English at school or work, and it's kind of similar to how we live our lives here now. So it's great to kind of put the present and merge it with the past, because they did that back then too. And I'm kind of glad she brought that up in this paper, because we don't get to talk about that much. I think nowadays it kind of just mixes, and we do it so easily that we don't even think we're doing it. But to have somebody put it on paper and say that we speak Pidgin at this certain time, and then once we get into work or school, then it's good English, and then we switch it back on and off, I think it's pretty valid, because it's definitely what we do now. And then of course in the book, you can see he does that as well. The other thing I wanted to point out that I got from here, is when they talk about, I guess, the self-depreciation, when they're talking about the novel with Sawa in it, the mom, about how, what is expected of her, what is appropriate for her. She couldn't really express her opinions, and that's pretty hard. I mean, back then, I guess, I knew it went on back in the day, but we never really get the perspective sometimes from a woman's point of view, because they usually weren't allowed to say or openly what they wanted or what happened to them. So I think, my next step is going to be to read the book that she was in, 5 Years on a Rock, to get her side of the story, because I think it has more depth to how she raised her kids and why they, even though they don't agree with her opinions, still support her and respect her enough to help with their duties and, you know, help her with the debt they have. But other than that, I mean, she pretty much went over things that I kind of felt in the book, you know, regarding it's a discrimination towards the Japanese people and how they were kind of belittled here, and then, you know, to just take it into the war and things like that. So all in all, though, I think she did a really great job of summarizing it up, and she pointed out some new things, like, you know, what the other books went over, which gives us a good idea and kind of some insight into the whole series of what he did right. That's all I got for this week, guys. See you next week. Thanks.